Hello there, my name is Kuma, and today I want to talk about integrated strategies, my favorite game mode in Arknights. Today we are getting the IS4 expansion. That means we finally have access to Ending 4. And we also get new nodes and new relics to explore. So I thought now would be a good moment to talk about everything I love in integrated strategies. And also to talk about its flaws, because there is no such thing as a perfect game, and I understand that. Well, it's honestly difficult to decide where to begin. So let me show you how I got here. At least that way you can see that I know what I'm talking about. Of course, my most recent achievements have been in IS4, because this is the version that we have been playing this year, at least in Yen. I have climbed 2 and beaten Brave Nature 15 with 4 stars only. I played most of it on stream in the first 2 weeks of IS4. I also went and grabbed every ending, every squad at Brave Nature 12, because that's where we get the shiny blue stamps after the update drops today. And of course, I've been a 4-star player for most of my time playing Arknights. So I did the same for the previous ISs. I got all the stamps in both IS2 and IS3, I beat hard mode in IS2, and I climbed and beat Surging Waves 15 in IS3, all with 4 stars. But I didn't do any of that for the challenge. Not at all. I love integrated strategies, and that has been the reason why I went for all of those goals from the very beginning. Even before any of us knew IS would be a permanent game mode, I already loved it, because I was fortunate enough to play Keobe's Fundimist. At the time things were different for me though. I wasn't a 4-star player yet. Heck, I didn't even know 4 stars only was a thing you could do in Arknights. Keobe's Fundimist came out 6 weeks after I started playing the game, and I didn't even have much to use. I barely even remember the few Ichus that I had at the time. I think I had Gumu, Keobe, Thorns, Jay, and maybe Sin. The important part is that I had a crazy fun time playing through Keobe's Fundimist. And I did beat the first ending at least, after many attempts. And I know that can sound weird to a lot of the Yen Arknights community these days, because a lot of players despise IS. They could never imagine trying to have fun with it. But for me, integrated strategies was always special. Because it was first, a roguelike, something I absolutely love. I got all achievements in Isaac at some point, the same for Enter the Gungeon, and even Exit the Gungeon. I played all the Pokemon Mystery Dungeon games, I finished both Rogue Legacy games, played a lot of FTL, Slay the Spire, Monster Train, Balatro, you get the point. But that wasn't the sole reason, because Keobe's Fundimist, at the time, was also a means to play as much Arknights as I wanted without spending any sanity. Something that I really wanted to do. And I simply couldn't, because we are limited by our sanity. These days we do have a lot more options to enjoy Arknights without getting stuck behind this sanity wall. We have 3 flavors of IS with different enemies, maybe 4 if you have access to a CN account. We have Triple S for the brave souls who enjoy that game mode for some reason. It's okay, I just don't understand you. And we are also getting Reclamation Algorithm as a permanent game mode. But at the time when we didn't have those options, and especially because I was a fresh guy exploring this amazing new game, wanting to play as much of it as possible, Keobe's Fundimist was simply very special to me. And I enjoyed every second I could, until it eventually went away, because it was a normal event, it only existed for 3 weeks. It was even 1 week more than normal. Oh man, that was hard, saying goodbye to that amazing event that maybe I would never see again. But then, we moved on. Ever wanting to see the event come back, because of course we did. Me and my friends, we loved it so much. We waited forever, and always hoping that Keobe's Fundimist would rerun, that we would get it as a permanent game mode. But before any of that happened, I became a 4-star player when Chapter 8 dropped. And I did that because I realized how absolutely busted every single 6-star in this game really is. And I mean every single one of them. Absolutely no exceptions. I started playing Dark Knights 2 at some point. Because if you look at my profile picture, you can probably see that I like bears. And then, almost a year later, we saw IS2 being released on CN. And that was just magical because we couldn't believe it was real. We had been waiting, we had been coping so hard, we couldn't stop talking about, oh man, I wish the Kyobes Fundimus comes back and becomes a permanent game mode. But it was real, and we could finally play it again. The game mode that we all fell in love with. Man, those 6 months, from IS2 dropping on CN and coming to Yen, those must have been the longest 6 months of my life. And when it finally got to Yen, we played the shit out of it. I think I finished the stamps for the first 3 endings in all squads in the first month. I even got the cool run that everyone wants to have when playing IS with a lot of money and all the ISPD relics. That run even became a video. I guess I'll leave it in the description if you want to watch. But then a lot of stuff happened that made me get even more involved with integrated strategies. I won one of the competitions from Lungmen Dragons during CC8 with a permanent map clear of Dark Knights. That one was hard, man. Like, no joke. I didn't even get 18 and I still won that thing. They even invited me to the group because I did that clear. And I'm telling you this because this is important, this is on topic. Because if I didn't get in the group at that point, the Lungmen Dragon IS Bingo Lockout would not exist today. What happened was that the Arknights team at Yostar contacted Zafeng at the time and they wanted the group to make something for the release of IS3. Because Lungmen Dragons always made some contests for clears, you know, like the one I won. So they wanted the group to do something. And long story short, I came up with the idea of playing bingo. I taught all of them in the group how to play bingo, and man, I was just stoked to be part of that, to make all of that happen, to create the bingo lockout inside Arknights, inside our community. To the point where I even made a video announcing the tournament. And I remember a lot of people getting excited to see the Arknights team doing anything with the community. It's kinda unfortunate that not much came out from their side after that. A lot of people thought that was a signal for good things to come. They thought that the Arknights team would have more communication with the community, but they continued to be as silent as they were before. And honestly, I can kinda understand. It was probably let down their side as well, because, let's be real, most of the EN community hates IS, or at least doesn't want to play it at all. They want it as far away as possible, like don't touch me, IS. That is something that makes me really sad, but I'll talk more about that later. Having played such a big part in the creation of this IS event in our community was special to me. It really was. Even if things weren't all that bright inside the group for me, to the point where I felt like I should get out of the group after I helped a bit during the second iteration of the event, it was just personal reasons. But from the time that I stayed in there with them, I can tell you that I respect a lot some of the people in the group. Like, not just as an Arknights guy or a good gamer or anything like that, but just as great people. And if I had to choose one, I'm giving my shoutouts to Dumbo. That guy deserves a lot of respect. I really appreciate Dumbo. But after all of that happened, I kinda moved away from the entire Arknights community for a while, but I never really stopped playing the game. I never got tired of Arknights. And I was always playing IS, because it was just so good to me. It's a tower defense roguelike. It's amazing! How could I stop? Of course, eventually I came back to the community. I wanted to make something for Trials for Navigator, so I played it on stream. Then IS4 came out, and I decided to play it on stream as well, and here we are today. Well, if you're still around watching after all of that explanation, you can tell that a lot of my story in Arknights is in integrated strategies. Definitely not all of it, of course not. But I've been here for basically as long as IS existed. Not more, not less. And it has always been very, very important to me. I kept playing it because I enjoyed it and I could never get enough of it. And here's the thing though, I wouldn't even say I am a tryhard who just can't play without a challenge, who has to enjoy the game in the hardest way possible. No, of course not. I don't go for a lot of the challenges people like to do in IS, like Relicless Max Ascension for example. I know that has been done multiple times before by many people. I also don't do things like max difficulty 4-star sniper only, for example. I don't do anything like that. I consider myself a big casual, even having beaten 15 on IS3 and 4 with 4 stars only and gotten all the stamps and all of that. People call me crazy for saying that sometimes, but I truly believe that I am a casual. And IS really allows me to be the casual that I like to be. IS lets you choose the difficulty you want to play in. You can enjoy it anywhere you feel comfortable with. We even had the easy mode in IS2 and IS3, but they removed it in IS4 and 5 for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't remember how it was in Kobe's Fundimis though. It probably had an easy mode as well, right? I just don't remember how it was. But let me be real with you here, because I just said that I am a big casual, so I'm gonna tell you a secret. I have always preferred playing at difficulty 0 before IS4. It's never been the case that I thought I couldn't beat any higher difficulties. I mean, I did climb as I said before. It's just that roguelikes are fun when you break them, when you are powerful enough to just barge everything open. Although, now my situation is a little bit different, because I kinda got accustomed to playing at difficulty 12 thanks to me playing on stream. Because I'm sure everyone would fall asleep if I didn't do at least that, at least 12, right? And also the addition of the difficulty stamps, those also incentivized me to do it, and to just play more at higher difficulty and go for those stamps. Because we didn't have them before, you could get them at any ascension you wanted, and now you have difference for how much difficulty you take. On top of that, there's just so many variants on how my runs can go that are under my control. If I want to try playing with stronger operators sometimes, I always can, it's always an option. I can play with my 6 stars if I want, even if I get bored of them real quick every time I try. I can test new operators to see how much I like them. Bring them from the very start and try to make them shine as the hero of the run. We had an amazing Wormy run a while ago on stream, where I was trying to play with both Ray and Wormy, but I got all the caster books and Wormy just obliterated everything, while Ray was there asking for scraps, not being able to do anything because Wormy didn't leave anything for her. I can also play with my 5 stars, since the 5 stars have a lot of operators that I really like, and which I just never get the opportunity to play with, because I enjoy the power level that the 4 stars are in for playing the rest of the game. Just getting 5 stars all the time would also be just as boring to me as playing with 6 stars, because they are still too strong. I can also try weird combos in IS. I can borrow some operator I never played with before at the beginning of the run and learn how they work, learn how to make them stronger in a squad. There's just so much I can do. And I always feel free to play with these stronger options that make me bored usually, because the mode allows me to adjust my difficulty and to experience amazing situations that I wouldn't find anywhere else. If you have the opposite experience with Arknights and you struggle with the game, you have a difficult time playing it, to the point where you can't even imagine yourself playing with anything not named Surtur, Ling, Chen Alter, Muina or W Alter very soon in the future, you can use IS to learn how to play with weaker options and make yourself into a better player, because you don't have sanity to spend there. There are no limited practice plans. And yes, I understand that there is the limit of time for some people, but that's not the people I'm trying to talk to right now, because those people know that they have no time to get better, like no matter what. They are fine, they are happy just using the strongest stuff, and they don't even have time to complain, okay? If they are busy like that, they can't even complain. And oh boy, I could tell you that there are lots of complaints. I know a lot of people love to talk about how IS doesn't actually allow you to play with whatever you want, because you don't have full control over the operators you can recruit, and you have no control over the relics you will find. It even escalates to the point where some players believe IS is 100% luck and 0% skill. I don't know how much they truly believe that, but that's what I hear a lot of times. And it's really sad for me. I actually get super sad every time that happens, because I've heard that before about every single roguelike I have ever played. And if you just search for it, you will find people who can get win after win after win on the highest difficulties on many different games. Even on FTL, people get win streaks on hard mode. No, like, for real, if you think integrated strategies relies on luck, boy, you should try FTL, because you will get smooshed to the ground so hard you will never get up again. And here, I'm not saying luck doesn't exist in IS, or in any roguelike. Of course, luck is part of those games. Of course you can get screwed by it. But when that happens, it's your decision to complain about it on the internet, or to learn from your mistakes and become a better version of yourself who can get over those bad luck moments. I'm not trying to fight anyone though. I'm actually really happy right now talking about this game mode that I love so much. So let me criticize integrated strategies a little bit and talk about some of the terrible decisions Hypergriff has made in IS. Some of the things I'm glad they changed. To start with, IS-2 and IS-3 had a terrible system for getting the endings, where you had to farm for encounters and a lot of times you just had to reset at floor 3 because you didn't find the ending you wanted. Really bad for people like me trying to get old stamps, but not that big of a deal if you just wanted to win, to be completely honest. I still remember grinding ending 4 in IS-2. I got a run every 10 resets. It was absolutely awful, because you had to get the specific encounter, and then later on you had to get another specific encounter, and then you could go fight the extra ending boss. Dude, it was absolutely awful. Thankfully, this was fixed in IS-4, and now you can choose where you want to go most of the time. It still happens sometimes that the lost and found node or the scout node, sometimes they do not spawn for some reason where they are supposed to, but those cases are the exceptions these days. Most of the time you can go for the ending you want. One other problem that I have is with the curse systems. Like, we always have a curse system in IS. The hard mode relics in IS-2 were the curse system, the light system in IS-3 was the curse system, we have the collapsal levels in IS-4, and in IS-5 we have a bunch of stuff. We have some floor modifiers, we have the weight limit when you go over it, and we have the Bosque Passage relics in IS-5 that you can stack that make your bosses harder and harder every time you enter in a new one. But the IS-3 curse system, that one was just inexcusable. Everyone in this community knows about metastatic aberration, and I agree that that was a total mistake. I've heard some players learned how to accept it and play with it, but I myself, I could never. Hypergriff created a curse system where you couldn't really run from it if you were playing at high difficulty. And it was frustrating that one of the curse options simply halved the stats of your whole squad. It wasn't a big deal at low difficulty if you got the curse, because you couldn't get it on a lot of operators. It just didn't happen enough for it to be a problem. But if you were going for a 4th ending difficult 15 run, then forget it. The curse would spread to your entire squad, every single operator you had, half their stats were gone, forever. Another negative point I agree with is how annoying it is to fill up the donation machine. We have a bunch of cool stuff locked behind the donation. You unlock the ability to steal from Cannot, a very cool fight which tends to be worth doing every run. In IS-4 and IS-5 you also unlock extra slots in the shop. You also unlock special relics that you can find on your runs, one per iteration of IS. The IS-3 unlock was amazing, by the way, because it just gave all your operators 2 SP every time they hit a fish. And IS-3, it's basically everything is fish, so it was simply SP to everybody. It was an amazing relic. The IS-4 unlock, I don't really like it that much. You just get 1 hope every time you buy something from the shop. I'm sure a lot of people like it because in my case I don't need that much hope because I play with 4 stars, but I'm sure it helps a lot if you're playing with higher rarities. But anyway, you get the point. Unlocks are cool, but unlocking them is not cool. I don't mind the idea of having to decide between getting stronger now by buying a couple relics or donating to the shop to be stronger later to get the unlocks. It is a good idea. But the problem is that you can't really donate freely. The machine gets stuck really easily. You can't even put 10 ingots per run. My machine tends to break between 4 and 8 ingots, and I only really managed to get it 999 donated in IS-2 and IS-3 because I just play IS so much. And yes, I will do the same with IS-4. I already donated 2500 ingots, I can get the machine to 999, it's not gonna be a big deal. God, I really play IS a lot, and I have no regrets. Anyway, some people actually just sit there resetting floor 1 to farm donations for hours, and that is absurd. How can you fail so bad that people feel compelled to sit for hours resetting, not enjoying themselves at all? It's just sad. But to be honest with you, I can't think of any other major complaint I agree with. I guess there are the runs where you get too many of the class voucher you don't know how to play with, or can't because of your own restrictions. But that one is a bit of a different problem. Okay, let me talk about it too, but I'll keep it short. First, let's get the obvious out of the way. If you choose to restrict yourself, be it by playing with a niche, with a specific class, with lower rarity like me, man, I hate supporter vouchers, then I'm sorry, you have to hear this from me, but you can't complain about it. Not in a serious manner at least, because we choose to inflict that pain upon ourselves. The game has its rules, and we are choosing to go against those rules. We are choosing to fail in situations that we know will happen, that we would normally not fail if we didn't choose to inflict it upon ourselves. Now, if you are just a normal everyday gamer trying to game the game and beat the game, then it's a little bit different. There are operators in Arknights to get you out of every situation in IS. The problem is, Arknights is a gacha game, and not everybody can have every single one of those operators that are gonna save them in every class. Man, I hate gachas. Good thing I don't play a gacha game, I play a tower defense game instead. So here is where I will give you the argument. Because if your account doesn't have the best operators in each class who can obliterate IS, then yes, you're not immune to losses. But I will ask that you understand that things are not as bad as you make it sound. Of course you're losing, it's a roguelike. You have to learn to be able to win. And the situations that people complain about are actually extremely rare. You're not gonna have that experience every run. If you get a medic voucher in your first 3 fights in a row, you just got super lucky and hit a 1%. That will only happen once every 100 runs. To get one more fight in there, to get a medic voucher in your first 4 fights in a row, that will only happen every 1000 runs. When that happens, and you for some reason don't have a start that can survive these initial fights, you take the loss and you move on. If the opposite happens and you never find a medic, that doesn't mean you automatically lose. I have for example my first clear at Braving Nature 14 in IS4, where I didn't get a single medic voucher in the entire run. This run happened on stream too, so I guess you could watch it if you care. But I needed one medic to stall the NE2 boss. I just needed a medic. So when I saw that the medic was not coming, I had to change plans. I kept waiting for a medic, of course, that was my original plan, but I realized I had the chance to get enough max HP and shields to lick the boss. So I never got the medic, but I won anyway, because I played well enough without a medic to survive and gather HP. One situation that people used to complain about was in IS2, because IS2 had some poison haze stages. And these stages weren't that bad, like you could learn to play them without a medic. I did it multiple times before. Either by deploying as few operators as possible to just keep redeploying them and keeping the enemies dead and not allowing anyone to leak, or I don't know, just figure something out please. But for real, I absolutely love these situations. I love when I get a crazy win like that. I love when I get a win without getting all the damage relics that I want. I love when I'm weak, but I can still come out on top. It's so special to see your demonstration of skill getting rewarded like that. And it's these moments that I like the most. I love getting all the damage, all the SPD, and exploding the bosses in 1 second. But having the game refuse to give me power, and then when I win, it just gives me a round of applause saying, "You did well, good job." That is what really gets me. That's why I'm sad when people say it's all luck, because they are denying my best moments in the whole integrated strategies. Those moments where I play out of my mind and I prove to myself that I am not as bad of a player as I believe I am. Because I'll be honest with you, I have never considered myself to be that good at Arknights. Sure, I did everything that I did, but I truly believe that anyone could do it with a couple months of practice. Come on, it's not that hard, come on guys. And even when IS is not trying to make me believe I'm a decent player, it's still showing me a world of happiness. We have cool challenges like trying to play with only random operators in IS2's Deep Investigation. We have absolutely busted runs where you're simply winning all the way through and nothing you can do can throw the run away. We have the absolutely funny with the LUD99X device in IS4 Deep Investigation that can just throw a wrench at your plans for the whole run, and it's hilarious to play with that thing. There's just so much that IS allows me to do, allows me to experience, to feel, and this has been the case since it first came out. All the way back in Goebbels Fundamist, I was already having all this fun with my terrible and limited squad of whatever I could raise in 6 weeks of playing this game. And I know I'm weird. There's a chance that your usual Arknights player doesn't even have an operator at E2 after 6 weeks of playing Arknights. But that's not the conversation today. IS has issues, but Hypergriff is learning how to make a better game, and it will get better with time, because their main public loves it. CN absolutely loves IS, and I would still get all of their great updates even if everyone here in EN decided to hate IS. I love how IS-5 has a squad that lets you win without a single operator in it, if you know what you're doing at least. I love that you have the option to bring W Alter and ignore the game completely if you so choose to. I would never though. All of those tools will be a quick and easy way for players who hate the mode to be done with it and stop complaining. And I also love that the mode is still viable at the power level I enjoy, with my 4 stars, that I learned to love so much. I love min-maxing decisions at every shop. I love doing the absolute best micro of my life to get through a stage that should be totally killing my run. I love the choice that you have when you find the golden chalice. You can choose to hoard all your ingots and move on without buying any more relics at all. Or you can instead do the smarter choice of buying a lot of damage instead. You just buy a lot of other relics with that money. I love that you can choose how much you want to fight, and the varied consequences of choosing either way. You can go for more fights to see more vouchers and have a better chance to build the perfect squad you want. Or you can go for encounters that can give you special relics to make you stronger, or special fights that give you random relics as well. There's so much under your control, but every single choice is so nuanced, it's never obvious the difference it's gonna make. And the more you play it, the more you play IS, the more you play a roguelike, the more you learn, and the more you realize how much you can change, and how much you can clear different maps with different strategies, and you can learn how to gamble with realistic expectations to get rid of a curse, to go for an encounter expecting multiple different outcomes, or to enter an emergency you're not even sure you can beat, just for the chance to get a random relic that could bring your run back on tracks. And the more I enjoy playing it, the more I learn, and the better I become at facing these difficult fights. Sometimes because a friend realized something I could have done, sometimes because I came up with a new strategy, and sometimes because I just stopped being bad and started playing correctly. Look, as I said, integrated strategies is not perfect. There are things I wish would be changed. I wish the HP gamble nodes were better designed. Currently, the HP nodes don't give nowhere near good enough rewards compared to how much HP they expect you to give in exchange for their chances. I wish the relics you get after a boss fight would have a better pool. It's frustrating to see that you once again got the useless relic that you can't even use anywhere in your squad. I wish the relic pool in general was more meaningful. We have so many relics that don't do anything. Sometimes I get runs with 30 relics, and then I look I have 1 damage buff. And then you have people on the other side of the spectrum who get 10 relics, saying they got the best run of their lives, and then you look at their relics, it's actually not the best run of their lives because they also have a single damage buff. Like, I don't know. Maybe it is just me, but the pool feels very, very diluted. But in general, after all these updates that we had, IS is very close to greatness. If not for the gacha part of Arknights, IS could very well become one of those legendary roguelikes. But even if that's just a whimsical dream that could never happen, integrated strategies is still very, very special to me. Initially because it was a roguelike, a genre I enjoy, inside Arknights, a game I also enjoy. At some point, it started being because all of the nuance I found inside the mode, and all the fun I learned to have in it. And today, because IS has become a part of who I am. So much has happened to me because of integrated strategies, because of me playing IS with my close friends, because of the creation of the LD Bingo Lockout, even if I'm not part of it anymore. because of all the fun I had while playing this game, by myself, on stream, doing challenges, and all of that stuff. This is why I love IS. And this is why I wish everyone around me could love it too. But hey, I'm up to listen if you want to voice your opinions. You can tell me what you think in the comments down below. And of course, you can like the video if you enjoyed listening to a little bit of my time playing Arknights. I will be playing more IS4, going for those NE4 clears. I'm sure it will be a nightmare to learn the new boss, the new fight nodes. We have to learn the boss variants from difficulty 12 and up. We gotta try to fight them as well. But I'm sure I'll have a lot of fun doing it. That said, I hope everyone has a very nice day. Peace out.